The war in Ukraine has caused many to perish, upended the lives of millions of people, and dealt a major blow to the global economy. But the war has caused yet another dilemma. That is the psychological harm to people living in Ukraine and elsewhere. Psychotherapist Dr. Donna Marks joins us now. She starts by telling us more about how the war is creating or triggering PTSD.
It's horrible. PTSD, first of all, I think should be defined, and it's when something that happened before, you get triggered in the present time and you react as if it was happening before. So the people in Ukraine are suffering tremendous PTSD in the here and now, and then sometimes people in the U.S. who've, like war vets or people who've had previous trauma, they are also reacting to it very intensely from the past. It's triggering those memories.
And for example, some reports show that veterans with PTSD, even in Nevada, are affected by the war in Ukraine. How can we help those who are suffering from this?
Well, first of all, it's important to understand that it's not your imagination and you're not just off the wall. You're not necessarily even mentally ill. This is a very normal reaction to a very abnormal situation. You know, we're not born to be at war and killing one another, or hurting one another to the extent that it puts a permanent imprint on somebody's psyche. So first of all, to understand that if you're going through the symptoms, which are, obsessive thinking, you can't sleep at night, you can't quit watching the TV, you feel jittery and shaky, this is bringing you back to the past by being aware of what's happening in Ukraine. It's perfectly normal given the circumstances. That's number one. Number two, allow yourself to feel your feelings. Get them out, talk about it, sit with it, journal it, paint it, draw it, whatever you have to do to get it out. It's really important. And also to get some help. There's online support groups for PTSD. Some of them are free, some of them you pay for. And there are many psychotherapists who specialize in treating trauma. So make sure you go to someone who does specialize in that.
Well, thank you for the suggestions. Definitely that can help. Let's look overseas, Dr. Donna. Ukrainians are suffering lasting psychological wounds from this invasion, according to Scientific American. How can that impact a society?
It has a terrible impact on society, and what happens if it doesn't get addressed and if it's not healed, it gets reenacted, and we may become violent ourselves on not meaning to hurt someone, but it's just an automatic reaction, or we continue to live in that wound. So it's very important to, as a world to come together and say, stop this. We don't want to fight, but sometimes we have to defend ourselves and our country. In this case, they're defending their homeland, they're defending their children, their parents, their families. So to come together as a world and say, peace instead of this. Both of them, both countries, peace instead of this. And those people that are suffering to acknowledge, of course you're suffering.